Continue the morning news. And on the phone with us this morning, our Yakima County Commissioner, Amanda McKinney. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you this fine Wednesday?
Very well, very well. We
Smoking hot, Amanda. We
Yeah,
are smoking
man.
hot, and it's warm outside too.
Yeah, and it's warm
By
outside
the way,
too.
it's at least it's not even 90 yet. Come on.
No, but it's hot in here. Anyway, Amanda, you got some, I don't know, good news, bad news, but share us some news you say with about the masking requirements for kids in camps this summer. So what's the latest? Tell us.
Yes, yes. So I do. I always like to share the good news, and we have some victories, and common sense prevails. So I know that it's been a couple weeks, and you shared that was really pushing back about the Washington State guidelines were just far more restrictive and just no common sense. I think if you recall, the Governor Inslee said that even though the CDC had changed and updated their guidelines for kids for summer camp, and that includes both day camp and overnight camp,
Right.
you know, the rules were, you know, you had to quarantine before you got there, and then you had to get a negative COVID test, and then you had to wear a mask there at all times without the exception of eating, swimming, showering, or brushing teeth. You know, it just was ridiculous, and we worked on it and worked on it. Lots of good folks in the local area who run camps, because we got some great camps that a lot of our kiddos go up to.
Yeah.
And specifically, one near and dear to my heart was Camp Primetime. You know, and Camp Primetime, again, is one where it's a camp that makes it possible for children with severe disabilities to be able to experience camp life. Yeah. And obviously they've got some unique situations that they're trying to work around. So it was vital that we had common sense prevail. And look, I mean, this is a perfect example. Kids are headed up to go to camp on Sunday. It's 106 degrees.
Yeah.
Are we really going to have those kids running around outside at 106 degrees? So just in time for the triple digits. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but we have the mask mandate for kids at camp removed while they're outside. And we can all applaud that.
Yes.
And it's just, you know, but it's hard to wrap your brain around why something like this is something we're even having to push back on. But I want to share victories when we have them. Common sense does prevail, and it's vital that people make their voice heard. And there were obviously an enormous number of parents, even over on the west side, who were just outraged that we were going to be, yet again, more restrictive than even the CDC. So, you know, I like to remind people the science isn't different in Washington State. What's the difference is the person who's making the decisions and what they're deciding their risk tolerance is for everyone else. So it isn't crazy to think that we can advance beyond COVID right now. There are states across our nation who are enjoying a normal summer.
That's right.
So I just want to, if anyone challenges you, you can say, listen, you know what, I look around what's going on around the rest of the United States. They seem to be doing well, you know, and we always want to be polite. If someone still wants to wear a mask, well, you know, hey, that's your prerogative. But, you know, it's time to shed these restrictions. It's time for us, and I hope, I'll be interested to see what happens here in the next week when we're supposed to be coming out of this. But the next thing is drop all the mandates, but the emergency order has to go, because we can't have an emergency waiting for the next one.
You know, Amanda, I salute all of this. I don't know that my kids go into camp, but for all those who are, it's how it needs to be.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know to what extent your particular activism has helped to bring stuff about, but I do know that you've received some criticism in the letters to the editor and that sort of thing for your approach. And I want to take a second out once again to say that you can sit back, do nothing, and accept, quote, what science is, but science, as you say, isn't supposedly different in other states. People sometimes need a nudge or a bump to get on with the program. Our state certainly. I'm just so disappointed in the people that see your efforts as somehow political or trying to seek some kind of advantage. You know, the majority, I think, of your constituents are like you, get on with life here. Let's go. And so for you to at least, be a constant presence in pushing for that, I say that's just great. And all those other people should shut the. No, you said always be polite, didn't you?
I did.
Yes, you did.
No, well, listen, dissent is not a bad thing on either way because it causes us to have conversations. I know there are people who disagree with my approach. I respect their opinion. I believe that it's important to take into account all the ways that COVID has impacted us. There are people who place a greater place of importance on focusing on, say, COVID deaths, okay, or case rates. And it's just through the COVID lens. And I have the distinct honor of serving 258,200 people who have had many, thousands of different experiences of COVID, not from the physical aspect of necessarily contracting COVID, but of having lost a child to suicide because of depression that occurred from being cut off from their school and their friends, or from a loved one who was in a nursing home that they didn't get to see for over a year, and they went into decline because they couldn't see people who they loved, or people who experienced financial ruin, increased alcoholism, domestic violence, child abuse. Those are the things that also must be taken into account. Those are real people and real experiences too. So we have to find balance. And again, we have the beauty of 50 states. And look at all the different ways that it's been done. And certainly we can cherry pick. And it is no secret that Washington, Oregon, and California have had the most strict restrictions. They're the last ones to let that emergency power go. And it will be interesting to see when the emergency order ends because it's setting precedent. And that's the thing that I am willing to take the flak for, because I am very, very concerned. I'm a student of history, and when you do things and you do not push back for personal rights and liberties, you are setting a precedent for what happens the next time, and it will happen again. And we will always revert to the place we left off. And we just can't have this loss of liberty be something that is so easily accepted. It's okay. It's the American way to question those things. It's also the American way to have a deep concern for your neighbor, your family, your friends, and love for country. And I do believe that no matter where people lie on this COVID thing, they love their country. They love their community. I don't doubt that for a second. But I do feel my job is to make sure that I'm always fighting for balance and for people to make a choice that's best for them.
Amen, sister. Amen. Thanks, Amanda. Commissioner McKinney, we appreciate this update, as always. Keep on keeping on.
Yeah, well, we'll probably chat again, depending upon what happens on the 30th.
Yes,
yeah,
indeed.
That's right. Definitely.
Hey, by the way, as a board member and someone who's conducted interviews, we have reached out. I thought I would tell you, because we talked about it on the air the other day, and I don't know if you heard it, so while we have you here, we have reached out to try to get our doctor candidates in for an interview, and we're waiting to see if anybody wants to share with the community at large what they've talked to you folks about in private. So we'll see. But
I encourage everyone. The interviews were public and they're recorded, or they should be on the Health District website. And if they're not, you can call them, and they should be. Take the time to listen. Yep. And I would encourage everyone to ask, and I think it's great. It's a good public service for you to reach out to them and ask them to go on record. This person is trying to be the health officer, which is basically acting, of course, as the doctor for our community. Thus far, we have had health officers who are in lockstep with the governor. Yeah. And I would like to see someone who's a free thinker. So I think it's very important. Reach out to the health district, ask for the email address provided for the candidates, email them your questions. Ask them on the issues. Do you support Governor Inslee's mandate? Would you have done anything different? Do you support requiring kids to wear masks in schools? Those are the things that we need to be asking them, because we need to get a feel for where they stand. And if you'll get a sense. Hopefully they'll be responsive, which they should, because if they're trying to vie for this position, it's a community position.